Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Sanya Gilani, your course instructor as always, and this is our lecture number 18. Today's topic is High and Late Romanticism, a time period that lasted from 1800s to 1830. This was the triumph of imagination. So, before we begin this lecture officially, what did we discuss last time? In the last class, we ended with Wordsworth and Coleridge, poets of reflection and inward growth. But the early 19th century brought a new wave of romantic writers who were bolder, angrier, and more passionate. The world around them was in turmoil due to the Napoleonic War and the French Revolution. Industry was spreading, people's political views were changing, and poverty was also growing because of multiple causes. The new romantics didn't retreat into nature like the previous ones. They fought back through their imagination against a tyrannical rule. They dreamed of freedom in a world of conformity. They made poetry an act of rebellion and a beauty. It was an act of faith. Today, we will study this high romantic phase from 1800 to 1830. This period includes writers like Byron, Shelley, and Keats, and also essayists like Lamb and Hazlitt, who deepened prose into art. So, by the turn of this century, Romanticism had spread beyond poetry into philosophy, criticism, and the novel. Yet its central question remained: how can the individual preserve freedom and imagination in the mechanized material world? The later Romantics responded in quite a different way in contrast to the previous ones. Lord Byron defied society through personal heroism and irony. P.B. Shelley sought to transform it through idealism and revolution, while John Keats turned inward, seeking eternal beauty in transient life. Writers like Lamb, Hazlitt, and De Quincey made prose lyrical and introspective. This diversity shows that Romanticism was not a single style, but a spectrum of responses to the modern condition. It was a response, it was a rebellion, a reflection, and a reverence for nature. How will we approach today's topic? We are going to divide this topic into four parts. The second generation of Romantics, since we talked about the earlier generation last time. The first generation, for recap, included William Wordsworth and Coleridge, and some writers also include the pre-romantic William Blake in the first generation. In the second generation, who are the writers and what are their achievements? We are going to discuss them in a little while. We are also going to discuss about romantic prose and the essay. Next, we are going to discuss about the romantic novel and writers like Jane Austen and Mary Shelley. We will also discuss the romantic legacy and transition to Victorianism, the age that comes after this. So, what is the second generation of Romantics? It was the age that included writers like Lord Byron, P.B. Shelley, and John Keats. Let's start with Lord Byron. He was the embodiment of the romantic hero, proud, passionate, and self destructive at the same time. His poem, Childe Harold, is a pilgrimage that reflects his travels and disillusionment. The hero wanders through Europe, searching for meaning in a corrupt world. In his other work, Don Juan, Byron uses wit and satire to critique hypocrisy, showing how romantic passion could also be deeply ironic. Lord Byron gave to the concept of the Byronic hero. It was not a concept that he used for himself, but a concept that critics used for the narrative voice in his poetry. So, who is a Byronic hero? He was a dark, rebellious, and morally ambiguous character. He all the Byronic hero was someone who was quite an attractive man, but his moral compass was, you can say, quite grey, and people were not sure to root for him or to be against him. That is the sort of ironic characters that Lord Byron created in his works, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage and Don Juan. This Byronic hero influenced literature from Emily Bronte's Heathcliff to modern anti heroes like Twilight Saga heroes. Next, let's talk about another big name of the second generation, that is Percy Bysshe Shelley. He was the most radical of the Romantics, politically and spiritually. He believed poetry could change the world. In his famous Ode to the West Wind, he cries, "If winter comes, can spring be far behind?" It's a metaphor of hope, renewal, and also the poetry here acts as a moral wind of change. In Shelley's Prometheus Unbound, he reimagines the Greek myth as a drama of liberation, a man defying tyranny and embracing love. He also wrote lyrical poems like To the Skylark. To a Skylark is a, you can say, or To a Skylark is a poem that expresses idealism so pure it almost transcends reality itself. So, what was Shelley's philosophy in contrast to Byron? He believed that imagination is the ultimate revolutionary force. He did not use poetry and imagination to, s- uh, to you can say, criticize his society, but he wanted people to be inspired to rebel against injustices that were going on around him. He was a revolutionary at his core. The youngest of the Romantics included John Keats. He was quite a young man when he started writing, and his life was sadly cut short. Keats, unlike Shelley, avoided politics but explored the inner beauty of life and mortality. He wrote some of the greatest odes in English poetry. You might have heard, truth is a thing of beauty. This is a phrase that we have often used. What was the original phrase and where did it come from? It came from John Keats. His poetry includes, uh, first of all, the most famous Ode to a Nightingale. It's a poem that yearns for escape through art and song. Then, the famous line, "Beauty is truth, truth, beauty, that is all ye know and all ye need to know." This line was inspired and taken directly from his poem Ode to On a Grecian Urn. This poem is basically describing the beauty of a Grecian vase. And here he talks about how truth itself is beautiful and every beautiful thing is truth. He romanticized the entire notion of life. His other famous work is Ode to Autumn. It was a hymn to life's ripeness and also how we are eventually going to decay, just like the season autumn. Keats' idea of negative capability, the ability to live with uncertainty without needing answers, captures the romantic faith in mystery. He saw art as a means of reconciling. For him, transience and eternity were together. Nothing was permanent, but nothing lasted forever either. All three of these romantic poets died young, yet their works mark the culmination of romantic passion and lyrical perfection. We just talked about the biggest name in romantic poetry. Now let's shift our gears and talk about romantic prose and also the art of essay writing. So, what was the romantic spirit? How was it reshaped in English prose? Charles Lamb, a big name in essay writing, wrote his Essays of Elia, which was about personal art, nostalgia, humor, and deeply human struggles. His essays talked about what is individuality and how we all are same at the same time different from each other. Another big essayist was William Hazlitt. His work, Table Talk and The Spirit of the Age, offered brilliant portraits of writers and politicians. These writers valued the beauty of style as much as thought, making prose as expressive as poetry. They also gave literature a new subject, the self, the private mind of the individual. We talked about poetry, we talked about essays. Now let's talk about the romantic novel. And two big names here are Jane Austen and Mary Shelley, writers that we still talk about, and their works have been adapted and readapted for the big screen multiple times. Jane Austen was a novelist who bridged classicism and romanticism. Her novels are Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Emma, or Northanger Abbey, to name a few. They explore love, class, and the morality of rural England. Through irony and subtle humor, Austen reveals the social constraints on women. She balances reason with feelings. For her, she gave rise to the comedy of manner. How society constrains us, especially women, to a point that our manners become caricatures of what it means to be human. Her works are still read today and are a great inspiration for many modern writers. Next big name is Mary Shelley. Her most famous and iconic work is Frankenstein, which was first written in 1818 when she was merely 19 years old. This work is also known as Prometheus, modern Prometheus. So, what is the Frankenstein about? Frankenstein was about a scientist, Victor Frankenstein, who created a monster, and he was unable to come to terms with the monster he created. It was basically, this work was turning romantic idealism into gothic horror. Mary Shelley talked about the advent of artificial technology and artificial intelligence before AI was even a concept. She talked about a creature that was not human, but that was not dead either, something that was created by a man, and something that was not real, that was not, you can say, allowed by the creator, something that was an abnormality. So she was basically talking about how ambitions can create an obsession for power and imagination. And she also talked about the dangers of certain ambitions and obsessive goals. Can you imagine she wrote that when she was only 19? So her work questions the cost of playing God, making it the first true myth, the modern myth, the romantic legend. And we have discussed all the different writers. Now let's come to the next point, romantic legacy and how this age transitions into Victorianism. By the 1830s, Romanticism's emotional fire gave way to Victorian realism, social order, moral responsibility, and progress. Yet, its legacy endured, belief in individuality, reference for beauty, and faith in imagination as moral truth. Without the Romantics, there would be no Charles Dickens, no Robert Browning, no modern self conscious literature that we read and watch today. To conclude, The Romantic period that lasted from 1780 to 1830 began as a rebellion and ended as a revolution. It taught literature to look inward, to value emotions, beauty, and imagination. The poets of this age turned their personal struggles into universal art. They gave us not just verses, but visions of freedom, beauty, and boundless power of the human mind. Shelley dreamed of reform, Keats of beauty, and Byron of freedom. And together they created the modern soul of English literature. As Pakistan continues to evolve, torn between modernity and tradition, Romanticism still speaks to us that the true revolution begins not in politics or machines, but in the imagination. That is all for today's lecture. Till next week, Allah Hafiz, and I will see you soon.